New video shows the suspected gunman in the murder of UnitedHealthcare CEO being brought into court hours in the courthouse ahead of today's extradition hearing. 26-year-old Luigi Mangione is heard shouting in part that this is, quote, completely unjust and an insult to the intelligence of the American people. CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano was inside the courthouse in Altoona, Pennsylvania. She joins us now for more on what we learned from the suspect's extradition hearing. Lilia, what happened both inside and outside the courthouse?
Well, as you can see in that video, outside the courthouse, Mangione walked out of that police vehicle, of that sheriff's vehicle, and he seemed very active, aggressive, upset, and yelling. Officers had to kind of restrict him against the wall and bring him into the court. Once he stepped into the courthouse, he was calmer. As a matter of fact, one of those deputies that walked him into the courthouse, there were about seven of them throughout the whole hearing, before the hearing started, throughout the hearing. One of them at one point told him something, and they both laughed. So it seems like things calmed down quite a lot. But I'll tell you, his demeanor from the moment he stepped in to the moment he left that courtroom was kind of defiant. He kept his eyebrows raised, his head back, kind of very confident. He looked around a lot. A couple of times I had direct eyesight, kind of, eye contact with him a couple of times. He just looked at where the media was, and because I was in his direct line of sight, I kind of felt like he was trying to make eye contact or try to find out who was there. But he had this, strong, confident, and quite defiant presence. He did swivel a lot. He had one document. We couldn't figure out what it was, but it could be either the charging document or something of that nature, with some handwritten notes. His attorney said that they were contesting the extradition, which means that now the Attorney General in New York, Alvin Bragg, has to request an extradition warrant from Governor Kathy Hochul of New York. He has already now, just minutes ago, announced that he will seek that extradition warrant. They have 30 days to do it, but it seems like they're going to try to do it immediately. The other thing that his defense attorney was requesting was bail. The prosecutors here in Altoona County were asking the judge to deny him bail. They were categorizing him as a fugitive. One of the moments where he reacted the most physically or verbally was in a way challenging how the district attorney was describing him as a fugitive. At one point, the district attorney described everything that was found in his possession, including $8,000, and he said, and foreign currency plus his passport. He kind of reacted to that. And then his attorney spoke and objected and said, look, it wasn't more than $20 if it was even real when it came to the foreign currency. At another point, his attorney started talking about masks because the district attorney was saying something about the fact that he had all these masks, so clearly insinuating that he's a flight risk, he was a fugitive, and that he was hiding his face. And he himself spoke into the microphone of his defense attorney and said, I just bought the mask, at which point his attorney restrained him and told him to basically shut up and stop talking. So he was very active. He looked around. He was very involved and engaged in everything that his attorney was walking him through. He brought some documents and some notes, and the attorney did. He stepped out, I guess, to continue negotiating with the court. When he came back, they had a discussion. They seemed to have had a negotiation. He shook his head, and then he nodded oftentimes, and then we learned what he decided to do, which is to contest the extradition. So we are waiting for, of course, the governor of New York to ask for him to be extradited, and then at that point, he would be taken to New York.
And yesterday, we did hear Pennsylvania authorities say they do this all the time. It could take 30 to 45 days. You've been chasing the story on the ground in Altoona. What more are you learning about the events leading up to his arrest?
Well, everybody in this town is kind of paralyzed with this story and following every development. Of course, this is a small city. It is a city, but it's a small city. Law enforcement is not used to having such a high-profile case in their hands. What I heard from police earlier today was that they and he did not really seem to expect for that encounter to happen last night. That said, the cooperation between NYPD and the Altoona police and the state police, or the sheriffs here in the state of Pennsylvania, and the FBI and the U.S. Marshals has continued. All of the evidence went to the NYPD, and it seems like the authorities here are doing everything they can to send this case off to the NYPD. Another thing that happened in court is that the attorney representing Tom Dickey, the attorney representing him here in Pennsylvania, said that the state of New York, or via the state of Pennsylvania, did not make clear what charges he was facing in New York, which are second-degree murder. And he said because of that lack of clarity, he wanted to, object to the extradition. The judge said you have 14 days to request a writ of habeas, and, that might delay a little bit of the process. He has that right. And then at that point, there would be a hearing. And then I assume the extradition would roll out. But it sounds like New York is also moving very fast in requesting it.
Lilia Luciano, thank you.
Thank you.